The topic in the news has been for the past couple of days, of course, Donald Trump's assassination attempt. Now, we know that the shooter or alleged shooter is 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Pennsylvania. But is he the lone shooter? There has been footage circulating since the shooting happened where people spoke with news outlets reporting that there were multiple shooters on Saturday or at the event on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. However, video released today may actually have captured a second shooter. Let's roll the tape. Here are some of the witnesses. And guys, I want to play these witnesses back to back to back for them to give their accounts. And then I'd like for you all to weigh in before we play the video that I'd like to show you. First up, here are different eyewitness accounts from Saturday's assassination attempt at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Play the tape, Jeremy.
The gentleman behind me, I was one seat. He was to the right of me. He could see the sharpshooter behind Trump. He said the sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here.
Killed the man in the water tower here. Now, prior to these videos, I had not heard of anybody being seen in a water tower. Have you guys?
Nope.
No. So everything has been the one guy who was on the roof that, according to reports that came out yesterday, the Secret Service knew that he was on the roof, or at least, I'm sorry, let me say that as accurately as I can. Authorities. I don't know whether it was local cops. I have not found whether it was Secret Service, but authorities confirmed that they saw the suspect on the roof at least 20 minutes prior to the shooting. Some reports say that he was a suspect of interest at least an hour before Trump got on stage. There's a timeline which breaks it down where they say that law enforcement officials investigating the assassination attempt on Donald Trump told lawmakers Wednesday, so yesterday or 2 days ago, that 20 minutes passed between the time U.S. Secret Service snipers first spotted the gunman on the roof and the time that the shots were fired at the former president. They say that Thomas Matthew Crooks was spotted at 5:52 p.m. by the snipers. Then the shooting took place 20 minutes later at 6:12 p.m. Here is footage of another witness at the rally on Saturday claiming that they saw more than one shooter. And again, listen, we know that when this is going on, there's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of misinformation that comes out because it's chaotic. You're hearing shots. You're not knowing what direction they're coming from. Unfortunately, right now, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but as of today, there have been no ballistic reports released.
No. That's what I've been obsessed with. I think that'll tell such a story when we see a legit number of shots fired in a ballistics map of which direction the shots went, because we still don't know for sure exactly precisely where the guy who got shot in the head and killed was sitting, where the person who got injured was sitting, and then how the bullet hit that machine that made the hydraulic fluid start spraying. So a lot of stuff like that to be seen.
So there's no definitive information regarding the ballistics, the angles, none of that has been confirmed and been released. So the only evidence that we have to go on regarding Saturday's shooting is footage from the shooting and eyewitness accounts. And here is a second eyewitness who talks about there being more than one shooter during Saturday's assassination attempt.
First crack of the gunfire, and I just screamed, it's the sniper, and he was firing down toward the water tower.
That's what we're hearing.
Firing down towards the water tower. And that last part that you heard was the reporter asking that question, and he states that's what we're hearing. Yep. So that means that more than just that person told him. It could just be one other person, but at least more than one person is acknowledging that there were shots being fired towards and coming from the water tower. Let's play this third eyewitness who claims there was more than one shooting on Saturday.
They had been right by the fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower. There was one by the fence.
So now we're seeing a shooter over at a fence, a shooter at a water tower, and then you have the shooter on the roof. So there are multiple reports of more than one shooter. And again, we know that there are police, there's law enforcement on site. We know the Secret Service is on site. So we know that there are other people with guns that are going to be present. But were those people firing those guns at the time that the shots were fired at the former president is really what comes into question. So I want to go around and ask all of you, do you guys believe that 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, a guy who has not any digital footprint whatsoever. The only thing he had was, according to reports from 2 days ago, he had a Discord account where he may have posted that he was going to go through with the shooting. But other than that, the guy's been in more BlackRock ads and Facebook posts. He has no Instagram account, no Twitter. Do you guys believe that this 20-year-old kid who allegedly was registered as a Republican but donated to the Democrats, do you believe that this kid was a lone wolf shooter? We'll go to you, Brandon, first. Then we'll go to Connor, Kelly, and Humberto.
Every single facet of this entire thing smells fishy. I mean, I'm like speaking in terms of like let's assume that I was not of the conspiratorial mindset from the jump, which I was, because this stuff, CIA 101, sleight of hand, make you look in one direction when something's going on in the other spot. Like that clip, it was on TV. That was the day of. They let that person speak on TV. You haven't seen that clip once since then. If you try to find it, it's recorded on somebody's TV in that clip, which means that they haven't showed or made visible those clips of people saying things about the water tower or the wall, which is weird. They made it abundantly clear that somebody was on the roof from the jump. And the FBI, the institution that's done all these things against Trump, where it came out that even a whistleblower saying that one of the criteria for getting a security clearance was, have you voted for Trump or have you supported Trump in the past? So that's who's running point on this right now. Going to the ballistic stuff, it's not hard to see where the bullets went, but there's no traceable map on the internet that shows where the bullets came from, where they hit, which is an easy thing to show. And then in addition to that, the whatchamacallit, the second shooter thing, I think that there's they would not put something like this in the hands of some amateur. If these forces are powerful enough to get the Secret Service to stand down, they're not going to leave it all up to this one kid. There's definitely a professional somewhere. Because I think it's beyond a doubt. Like, we found out the Secret Service knew 10 minutes beforehand that the shooter was there on the roof with a gun. That's confirmed. That's what they told Congress yesterday. So if we know that, they told that in Congress yesterday, that the Secret Service knew 10 minutes beforehand that the guy was on the roof with a gun.
What?
Yeah. It was
I missed that.
Yeah, no, the senators were demanding it.
That was on Wednesday?
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, so Secret Service said that to Congress. We know that for a fact. They knew 10 minutes before Trump went on stage. Let him go on stage. So it's clearly, without a question, a stand down from the Secret Service.
Well, that's not fair. But you know that the Secret Service, they can't guard sloped roofs. So was it a stand down, or was it more of a logistics issue where, it's a hindrance? How can it's angled at 5 degrees, Brandon. What are you, some kind of commie? You want them to risk their lives to get up on a sloped roof to defend the former president?
That's dangerous. That's how the question put somebody on the sloped roof. But, fortunately, they were notified that the guy had the balls to go up on the sloped roof with a gun and risk his life to do this assassination attempt. So, good thing they found out 10 minutes beforehand. We know that without undeniable fact. They admitted that. So they didn't warn him. They didn't tell Trump not. They let him walk onto stage knowing a guy with a gun was on the roof.
Do you think Trump didn't know? Did they say?
Of course he didn't know.
Well, I disagree. Maybe they did told him, and he's like, I'm going to do it. You guys have the situation under control? Okay, I'm going to do it. Just like yesterday, he's like, wait. Or Saturday, he's like, wait. And I'm like, don't let him wait. That
time they ripped him off the stage. That was because there was an inkling or like a rumor that somebody said the word gun in the crowd, and they ripped him off stage. So 10 minutes beforehand, they knew somebody was on the roof with a gun. They spotted him. They were watching him. They let Trump walk on the stage. So if there's the forces that are powerful enough to make that happen, aren't going to put this all in the hands of some 20-year-old dipshit who's in like a trans and BlackRock commercials, whatever.
Well, you know what?
And this is what we get out of the fucking Patriot Act. We've given up all of our digital rights.
Great point.
For them to scour through all of our shit, and they're telling us they have nothing.
They have
bullshit.
nothing.
I don't trust the FBI for 1 second to handle this. So Congress, if Mike Johnson has any shred of balls whatsoever, take this out of the FBI's hands.
Now, just a couple of things to run through about what we know about the situation. So there are reports that an hour before the shooting took place, the Secret Service was alerted about a unusual suspect.
Not one of us.
Yes, not one of us, but just an unusual suspect on the property grounds. We know that they saw him with a target. What is it?
Rangefinder.
At least 30 minutes before the shooting. Yep. We know that they saw him on the roof. You're saying 10 minutes. I've seen reports of 20 minutes. And we know that underneath in the roof that he was on, inside of that building, was the Secret Service.
Right.
So all of this has been confirmed. None of this is, us us theorizing, speculating. This is actual fact.
And the police are pissed too. The Pennsylvania police came out yesterday and said that like they were outraged that they were saying that the guy, the police went up on the roof and ran away. So I guess what happened is the police had to prop the guy up on his shoulders. The other cop, he like was like pulling himself up in the thing. And he pointed the gun up and then he like kind of fell down, letting go of the roof.
Which that's what I also saw in the reports. So that does make sense. So,
but how'd the kid get on the roof though? If they were inside the building and there was no way to get on the roof.
I understand that 100%. I would like to, if that is in fact the case, we right here on this program started criticizing the police without having all the information. That's my fault. I'm the one that did it. I'm the host of the show, so I should have stopped me from saying that, and I didn't. I propagated misinformation. I am a propagandist.
But that's why I'm saying you have to look at the photos and you have to look at the video because you don't know for sure what happened there. You don't know for sure what everybody's roles was and what you can't. It's so hard to Monday morning quarterback when you weren't there.
But you bring up a great question. Okay, that roof is pretty high. There was a ladder that we've seen. How come the kid was able to find that ladder and get up or brought the ladder, right? The reports were at first that he made a trip to Home Depot prior to the assassination attempt. Then the questions became, well, how could he fit the size ladder that he had on the vehicle that he had? Because according to reports, it was like a Hyundai Elantra, and they said it wouldn't fit. Now there are reports that the ladder may have been found at the building. And by I say reports, that's from Frank, our maintenance man. He told me that. But guess what? The media ain't giving me information. I got to go to where I can get it. And he gets his information about the firmament from an AutoZone tech, so I can get mine from the guy that hangs our LED TVs.
Now, to be fair, if there's one thing that Frank, our maintenance guy, does know, it's ladders. He's on them very frequently.
He was just on one before the show.
But the latest report is actually that the shooter did not bring the ladder with him. The ladder was put there by police getting up to try to respond after the shooting, and that he climbed up on an air conditioning unit and used that to pull himself onto the roof. So it's still very much in flux. To Brandon's point, though, about if there was some sort of conspiracy here, would they outsource it to this kid? Probably not. You know what the internet has named the shooter?
Tranny McGee.
No.
That's what I'm going to call him, Tranny McGee.
Well, what the internet is calling him is Retardy Oswald.
Come on.
That's better.
You can't say that anymore.
So, like, that might actually be more easy to remember than the kid's actual name. But he does not seem like the kind of guy you'd go to for your conspiracy to assassinate a former president. But all the facts seem to be pointing to something weird happened. Why are we not even knowing where everything was situated? Because like we talked about the first time we covered this on Monday, this is not, you know, in a place where there's hundreds of rooftops to analyze and figure out where everything was coming from. There are 4 points of interest: where Trump was standing, the building right next to him where the counter snipers were situated, the rooftop where the police were stationed, where allegedly the kid was on top, and then the water tower. And on Monday, Rob, you said the only other building out there is the water tower.
Yes.
There was nobody up there. We talked
that.
about the water tower. But now all of a sudden it's coming out that maybe that water tower was more of a point of interest. And to your other point, Rob, you know what's a lot more sloped than a 5-degree angle roof? A spherical water tower. So clearly it wasn't a Fed who was up there because they're all too afraid of the slope.
Have you guys ever been? This is a weird question. Have you guys ever been on a water tower?
No, I grew up in a city.
I saw that.
Oh, okay. I grew up on an island, and our island had 4 of them. And when I was 14 years old, I started my first real employment, and I worked for the Public Works Department of Brigantine, New Jersey. And part of that was going to I worked for the water department. I fixed sprinkler heads. But I was like 14, and they thought it would be funny, the older guys, because it was part of like the kids would work with the full timers, and the full timers are guys that have worked for the city for 30 years. I mean, these were dudes who they were born on that island. They were going to die on that island. And the only thing that happened in between was fixing sprinkler heads and getting fucked up. That was their life. And I was like, hey, this is a pretty cool life. I could do this. It's awesome. I live in a beach town. We get fucked up. We go fix sprinkler heads. Okay, cool. But I was 14 and dumb. Now I'm like, oh, these guys kind of, but okay. Those guys, they thought it'd be funny to fuck with me. So they made me climb up on the water tower one time, which was terrible. I went up tethered with another guy, but they like at 14 years old, my parents didn't sign a waiver. Now at 14 years old, you can go to California, get your dick chopped off, become a lady. But in my day, in 1998 in this country, you were able to climb up a 300-foot water tower without your parents even knowing about it. And I've never told anybody about it to this day.
Wow.
That being said, it is very high. It is very spherical. It is very dangerous to climb. I wouldn't trust anybody to go up there. But that brings us, let's show this photo real quick. And then I want to get your 2 opinions because you guys have weighed in.
This photo,
yes.
This is actually posted as a kind of a meme by Elon Musk. It's true, but as you can see from the bottom right-hand corner, there's also the little Saddam Hussein thing from that infamous diagram of Saddam Hussein's hiding place underground. But everything else seems to be lining up here.
Shooter ladder, SWAT ladder. I can't read the rest.
Dead guy's still here, but it's censored. So that first top arrow is where the dead guy is, but they've blurred it out. Right underneath it, gun's still here too. SWAT leader looks like they're pointing down to where the
SWAT
trees
ladder
are.
that they went up.
Oh, ladder, sorry. And then shooter ladder.
And then right underneath that, this is a weird internet thing, but there was like when Saddam Hussein was hiding in an underground bunker, there's a diagram of like the cutout in the floor with the AC vent. So they like to take the little drawing of Saddam Hussein and put it into other things.
Okay.
That's why this photo came from Musk. But everything else in this actually
nothing I love more than jokes at former Iraqi dictator's expense. Right?
So
Saddam Hussein was Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, okay, so let's show the video that I would like to show, and then I'd like to go to both of you guys first for your input, and then you two, and then we'll wrap up, because time has escaped us. I apologize, Brandon.
Wait, again?
Okay, yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. Coming next week, we will make sure to fill you in on black budget military weapons.
Our
But
time, like the $35 trillion
reasons to be concerned.
disappears.
yeah, well, I got conspiracy and propaganda to propagate. Here, pull up this video. So this is the video that started going around on social media late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. A lot of weird things, and I wish we could have gotten to this. The stock shortages of the DJT stock, which is very similar to the stock shortages of American Airlines and United Airlines right before the September 11th attacks. There's some great people doing some great investigative work on Twitter that you can go and find that information for yourself. But Brandon and I were talking about that today. If we had more time, we would have gotten into it. But instead, we're going to focus on this right now, because this may or may not be what the internet is saying is the second shooter. So remember, we played you the videos of the eyewitnesses from Butler, Pennsylvania, claiming that there was more than one shooter on Saturday. And now video footage has come out of what people are saying is the second shooter. If you could play this clip, take a look at the top of the water tower. There is a strange shadow and what looks to be a strange black figure up on top of that water tower right before the shooting takes place. Please roll the tape, Jeremy.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
There's a little central knob on top of the thing, then to the right of it. Right there.
Hands.
It's very grainy and very hard to see.
So first of all, you'd have to be
It's like Dilly Plaza.
It's really what bothers
Spider-Man
what
to get up
bothers
there.
me is whenever anybody gets like shocking footage, like we've caught Bigfoot or here's a Loch Ness monster. It looks like they recorded on like a Nokia cell phone from like 1999. None of it's ever clear. And of course,
it's from that bit, the little
yes. So
square.
let's play it again. You see how like the
and then don't hover over it, Jake, so we can actually
directly
see
behind where the
like
play
if
button
that was
appears,
to be a
Kelly.
breast. Do you see where the nipple?
I thought that was a shadow. I thought that was a shadow.
Yeah, to the
Oh,
right
the
of the
side.
areola is where the second shooter may be. You can see him right there.
I see a move now.
Now, again, that could be, look, that could be
We're in the
anything.
age of deep fake AI, so I mean that wouldn't be extremely hard.
Okay, but if it was a deep fake AI, wouldn't you deep fake AI it better than that?
Yeah.
So first of all,
But I
it's
fully
from that original video. It's just zoomed in super, right?
Yep.
So and I thought we were looking at the X, whatever the logo was on the thing. So I was super confused. But then I saw that thing move.
Yeah.
So I've never seen this before. I've never heard this before, and I wouldn't have if you didn't tell me. So the fact, remember how it came out and it was like, oh, Trump fell, blah, 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 at the thing.
Yeah.
Trump,
Right.
And one person did it. So what? I don't trust the media at all.
Nope.
Nobody's telling us anything. There are already videos. And people that are saying that it's staged make me sick, because if they watch the video where they do the 3D version now, I think we showed it on the last episode, where he literally turned his head and it went right here and it was perfectly going to be dead on. Like he was gonna die, and I can't believe it didn't happen. So
There's a picture of the bullet next to his head too.
yeah, but we don't see that until it gets pushed out there, right?
Right.
How come we don't know more about this? And if this is the case, not only did the Secret Service fuck up so bad that they didn't get the one shooter on the roof that everybody was telling them about 20 minutes before, they also had a shooter which they said they looked at that tower, they weren't going to get to that tower, and that it wasn't a threat, whatever. They should all be fired.
Yeah.
And so should
Put in
she.
jail.
Well, and what's interesting is the media right away reported, right away. I'm talking about Monday. So they gave it a day, but by Monday, they had identified the shooter and claimed he was a lone wolf.
Oh, that.
They came out and said that, like, literally, they were saying the day after the shooting that he was a lone wolf. However, by that time, they had not accessed his cell phone records. They broke into his cell phone on Tuesday, but on Monday, how would you know that this guy acted alone on Monday had you not broken into his cell phone and retrieved the records by Tuesday? You don't have it. His social media was scrubbed. I'm sure they started doing forensic accounting and going through all of his accounts. But they came out right away and said, nope, he's a lone wolf. This was one kid. He did it by himself. It was severe lack of intelligence. It was a failure of the security. But everything else points. And I don't know if this is true or not, but what I have been told was that CNN was live streaming the event that day. I don't know if that's true or not. If any of you are watching and you can provide evidence, please, Rob Show TV, ROBBSHOW TV on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Send me any evidence you have, because according to what I have read, and by I have read, it was text messages from my friend who is arguably in QAnon. But that's fine. We don't need it. Again, I got Frank the maintenance man, and I got Drew in QAnon.
And AutoZone.
I love Drew.
And we've got
Drew.
AutoZone, too. These people are telling me that CNN has never live streamed a Trump rally before, but for some reason they were live streaming Trump's rally on Saturday. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's very interesting. Everything about the shooter seems suspect still, and here we are. We're now 6 days removed from the assassination. I'd like to go around assassination attempt. Thank God that it didn't happen. And I would like to go around and ask all of you one important thing. But before we do, Kelly, you touched on something about being staged. And we talked about this on the last podcast. If this is, in fact, if you're going to get on there and say that this is a staged event, you have to understand that right now you are calling into question and you are criticizing and I guess you're calling into question the credibility of a gunshot victim. Donald Trump is a gun violence survivor. You guys, we can't do that. Alex Jones got deplatformed and sued to the billions for saying that Sandy Hook didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
He could say that, or he's not allowed to say that, but the left can get on and not only claim that this was staged and that this was a stage shooting. First of all, Donald Trump should sue every one of them into the billions.
Yeah.
Now people are mocking him for wearing a bandage on his ear to the RNC. So now you're mocking a gun violence victim? That blows my mind that is even something that we're doing in this country, because from our end, I've never made fun of any of the kids in Sandy Hook, the kids in Columbine, the kids at Uvalde. All of those shootings have been horrific and tragedies. I've never made light of them. But yet, for some reason, the compassionate left sees it as no problem whatsoever to mock and ridicule a gun violence survivor. So I'd like to go around the room and ask all of you before we wrap up today, do you believe that the 20-year-old shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, is a lone wolf, or do you believe that there are more forces at play than what we've been told? Humberto first, Kelly, Connor, and Brandon, you have the last word.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because an assassination attempt is a binary thing. It's either is killed or is not killed. We know that Trump that wasn't killed. We know that a father of 4 firemen was killed in the assassination. We're thinking about this assassination attempt with a mindset of the 60s. We're thinking about a JFK type of assassination. The true questions and the true answers are nowhere near whatever happened that day. They're not a second shooter. They're not someone there. It's not the feds that were there. The true question, true answers for this, they're outside. We're talking about, we live in a world where they don't even need a point of contact with these guys. And I'm not a fed, but I can tell you how I will do it, okay? First of all, I will start targeting, I will see the data to see how many guys go in there with guns trying to kill Trump. Because I bet they have the data of how many attempts they have or how many guys. Once I have a solid baseline, I know that at least 5 guys will show up with the intention of killing Donald Trump. And then I decide which one I want security to fail. I grab the kids. The kid is local, okay? I worked in marketing before. We can target people to the T. You could target your roommate about one ad. You can have DMs. You can modify their experience online. So you start radicalizing them. You can put them in forums. You can put the right posts. You can make a post like, "Hey, if I was gonna do this, I will go into that roof." You can put in a local group. So you're gonna have 5 subjects that will do this. You will lax the security in the right spot. And whatever happened there, right now, it doesn't matter. I don't think there was any points of contact there. I don't think there was any connections. And there's very little truth to come out of there. Even if you were there, even if you're an investigator, I think most of the truth that we need to know, and they're using a new technique that I love, how they're doing things. And they've done this for the last 3 or 4 attacks. As soon as the thing happens, they put multiple shooters or multiple possible shooters out. So you divide the people that will investigate who's this guy, who's that guy. You will give them a red herring or 2 red herrings. They will go in different directions. So you have only 1/3 of people that are onto the right guy. And that gives them enough time to wipe whatever they have to wipe. You know, it gives them a lot of lead time to wipe all their social media and digital presence. So in that fog of war, they perfected it to a T. Like you see the mainstream media, how long it took to react. You had for the first official statement, we had 2 hours for the mainstream official statements to come out. Fox News, that always does the Trump rallies and everything, they stayed on close-ups of people there for an hour and a half. You were watching it. I was watching it. So they managed to have everyone distracted for the first hour, 2 hours and a half. Perfect time to wipe everything and clean up any connections, move anything that they had to move. And I think it doesn't matter how many shooters there were there. What it matters is who set the hit. That's the thing that could change the future of this country. And they have us that we have conspiracy tendencies busy on this because it's the obvious thing, because we love the JFK thing, we love this, the landing on Mars and whatever, and we're using all our brain power on this. That is a great distraction. It's fun. It's not fun that this happened, but it's fun to know who did that. Is he a Republican? Is he a Democrat? And whatever. Well, the real dealings, that is whatever happened leading to this thing, we will never know. You know?
So do you discredit the witnesses who claim that they saw multiple shooters that day?
It doesn't matter. Trump is alive.
Okay, my turn. It does matter because the fact that it was so messed up from start to finish, whether there was 1 shooter, whether there was 2 shooters, it matters because all of it went wrong. If Trump didn't move his head, he's dead. So by some act of God, that's the reason he's alive. Then 99 other things went wrong. The Secret Service and the local police and everyone involved in coordinating that event needs to know exactly what happened so that it doesn't happen again. Because they said, "Oh, our plan is foolproof. We got this. We didn't do anything wrong. The roof is slimped." Those are excuses. It is shameful. It shouldn't have happened. They need to know every single thing they did wrong if they're going to continue to keep their jobs.
2 minutes left. I want to go to Connor, and then Brandon, you'll have the last word. Connor.
Yeah. So I don't think that there were multiple shooters, only because I don't think that Crooks was a shooter. I don't think he was allowed to fire shots. I think there's a very good possibility the shots came from somewhere else, but we need things like ballistic reports and other things to line that up to actually even be able to understand that. But I do think that Humberto is kind of making a point here. It matters whether there are shooters, or where the shooters were, who they were, how they were involved. But I agree that if there is any kind of cover-up at play here, they're immediately just going to blow chaff out for the media to grab onto.
Chaff.
And I say this to us as a team, as a reminder to myself, to everyone watching at home as well. Be wary of the misinformation they want you to grab onto. There's a thing called limited hangout, where when they can't cover things up anymore, they dangle the most tantalizing piece of information in front of you, so you grab onto that and think it's the whole story. So if there's an incentive for them to get you to grab onto, look, there's a shadow on top of the water tower, was that something else? And then everyone focuses on the water tower, be careful of what they're trying to not have you look at. But I think the facts of the case do not make sense for how this 20-year-old guy acting by himself can get onto the roof of a police staging area with a rifle in broad daylight, not camouflaged at all, in full view of the crowd, the Secret Service, the police, and the video cameras, and then pull this thing off by himself without coordinating with anybody.
Someone got him to do that.
Somebody has to have been involved, and I don't know if, like Humberto said, that's targeted marketing without a direct point of contact, setting him up as a patsy, actually getting him involved in something. These are the facts that are emerging that require additional details. But I think there is a much bigger thing that they don't want us looking at right now, which is why they've put what they have out there so far.
Brandon, final words.
So you guys keep saying, watch out for them trying to mislead you, give you information to to make you go in the wrong direction or distract you, or whatever. Nobody's pushing this information. It's some obscure post on X, which wouldn't be available if Elon Musk didn't buy X. Like, nobody else is pushing this. Like I said, with that clip that somebody recorded on their TV, you haven't seen that clip once since initially after the thing. So the word water tower is not being mentioned on TV at all. And it matters deeply because I can assure you, this kid didn't even know where the hell he was. He was some mentally ill person that they probably like started speaking to in a chat room, or somehow MK Ultra'd him to go and do this attack. And it matters deeply because the person who actually fired off the shots is probably, an actual professional that was far away. And there's the CIA, when it first started, they were trained by magicians, because the key to magic tricks is to make you focus deeply and captivate you with looking at one thing, and then the magic tricks going on in the place you're not looking. So that's exactly what happens on all these assassination attempts. It's exactly what happens in any CIA operation. Sleight of hand, distract you, look in one direction. Like, there's no other explanation for like the freaking tailgaters are looking at this guy pointing at him. Nobody else is looking in a different direction where the shots were likely to actually come from.
Okay.
Brandon,
Is he alive or dead? The second shooter.
I would assume.
I don't know. If there was another person dead, I would think that we'd find out about it. But to Brandon's point, when you Google Trump water tower, there's nothing that comes up about a second shooter or
that's the
anything
thing.
like
And
that.
Brandon, I agree. I think saying that it doesn't matter there's a second shooter, it doesn't matter at this point. I think we're in a point of.
But they're pushing off like
You're
it's
right.
long.
It does.
Well, I'd love to go again. We can't solve peace in the Middle East. We can't solve separation of church and state, and we definitely ain't going to figure out the JFK assassination or Trump's today.